you check Twitter, you'll realize that the name Uhuru Kenyatta is trending. So I'll tell you why Uhuru Kenyatta is trending in Twitter now. Nothing has happened. Not that I know people have been saying, people asking, Kevin, Uhuru is trending. What's going on? There is nothing wrong going on. Uhuru is just resting. And there are reasons. The reason why the name is trending is because of some three aspects I've checked. Number one is that the fact that President Uhuru or William Ruto is revoking appointments that Uhuru made in different commissions, parastatal and independent institutions. So what I have actually seen, we saw some reshuffles here and there being made just by a strike of a pen. You fire people and hire people. Just like the other civil servants, I tend to think that even parastatals, the people working in parastatals, are also funded by government money. And so they also need a right to enjoy security of tenure. But because they are appointees of the president, that is why that is happening. We've really got ourselves into not a very good place. That's one reason. Number two, President reversed the police uniform reform. And actually what he has said is that the police are allowed to put on the two sets of uniforms, the blue and the other one, even though the report that had come out earlier is that he had stopped changing the uniform. You know, at campaign trailer, I remember that was even an issue by the fact that uniforms have been changed. But the issue of the uniform even touched Matiang'i. I remember at one point Matiang'i was talking about it, that there's a company that was sitting comfortable, rather there was close to deputy president by then, and Matiang'i did not give them the tender, and so that's how they differed to some extent. So that's that. The other third issue is that in the spree of this reversal, there is a conversation that we could return the 1,000 shilling note. Now I looked at that and that was very ridiculous. And in fact, now that is the one I wanted to talk about. I know that in Twitter it's more of what people think or what people are saying, but I can tell you that there are different tools that government can design to communicate to the public. I know we have the traditional media doing press releases, doing interviews, sending news reports to the newsrooms. I know we have the traditional way, but with the new digital age in the social media, don't despise what you see in the social media, because even in Twitter, people sponsor trends, and the same administration also have social media presence, and they know very well that if you want to get the feedback of the middle class, you want to get the feedback of the informed Kenyans, well, then you can float a conversation in Twitter. And that debate is going on there, a very heated debate on whether the government wants to return the defaced 1,000 shilling notes. I remember this was brought up to curb corruption. It was by then an understanding, and I think the argument was that there are people that had stolen money, and that money, the president put a cap or a restriction that if you could go to deposit some 1 million something amount of money, you needed to explain where that money is from, and because people could, of course, benefit from corruption proceeds. And then with that argument, or rather with that rule coming into play, being implemented, many people that had proceeds of corruption could not go to the bank and could not take that money to bank, and that money was being kept in houses and below the mattresses. So apparently, I was just talking to someone about this today too, immediately when we were looking at this Twitter trend, and he was telling me, someone can help me debunk this, that wakati money is being printed. Money is normally printed here in Nairobi, somewhere here in Nairobi, somewhere. There's a company that prints money here in Nairobi, even though it's supervised, it's under the Kenya Commercial Bank. And so they know amount of money that they printed. They know amount of money they printed. With that, they also know through the treasury, government also have the infrastructure, or rather the capacity to know how much money is in circulation chasing goods. And it's not about the mambogo. So there are also other purchases. And because there is no purchase you can do, of course, there is no significant purchase like 1 million, 2 million, that kind of money you can do when you are buying something without involving KRA, without passing through KRA. And in fact, for the big people, the 1 million spending, government will actually know what you're buying, because mostly you will know that maybe you're buying outside. And because the same government that pays you money, they know very well that wewe umenunua hii shamba milioni 5, lakini pesa yako ni salary hii na hujatoa. So they know very well that you didn't withdraw, but you've had an expenditure. And they could trace that indeed there is some illicit cash, or rather there is excess cash chasing the goods. So there were two things. Number one is that proceeds of crime were out there, and it was to trigger action so that it can also be injected back. Because when someone knows that, in fact, they gave a window. When someone knows that wataenda kudeface, you'll have to spend that money. To some extent, it will go through a process, whether unaenda kulipa tithe, ikuwe mingi, whether you're going to inject it into a campaign, whether you are going to put it into some investment, hata kama ni nyumba ulikuwa unajenga, you put it there. At the end of the day, there will be a significant impact, because money will be injected back in the economy. And it worked out on that. So when this discussion came, the fact that it was brought up against corruption, sorry, and it's being brought now, could only mean that we are not, it heated people somehow, or some people got hurt by it. And so when you return back, because when you return that money back, what happens? It's a very far-fetched thing. Number two, it was to tame illicit cash transfers, what other people call wash. And it will be bad if it will return wash. I remember Mtaani saying that if we are not careful, we are going to have a pool of wash people in parliament, because they're going to reject back that money. And that is it. But what I also see is that it's this testing the public perception. Public perception or deception of the same. If that something like that is supposed to come, what do Kenyans think? It can be floated somewhere just to test intelligence. You have to just intelligence to test. What do Kenyans think, and what will be the understanding? Because I think President have made a very key pitch that he wants to fight corruption, but less of that is being seen. Actually, less of that. But to the way things have been so tight, we don't know that the things are not just coming out, but corruptions, no corruption scandal has so far maybe been reported. We are not praying for any to come, or for any whistleblower to show us any. But that is one thing you can see, that things seems to have gone down. So that removing that note would really take us through a process. It will be in the spirit of reversing what Uhuru did. The only challenge is that, what does it change? What does it change? Because people who want to maneuver their way, and that is what we have to agree. If someone has some money still behind mattress and he wants to change that money, and is sitting comfortable with this administration, he can do that effectively. Yes, without any pressure. In fact, what I see here is someone was making it clear that there could be a call for people who have the other cash to be given a window to change it. Remember during the new, I think during the swearing in, the president said that he's tried talking with central bank to change the limit. The limit is 1 million. I think 1 million, you need to account for 1 million. When you take 1 million cash to bank to, you want to bank to in the bank, you must show where that money is. You must give an explanation. And they were complaining, and even those who are doing businesses were complaining that it's a little bit retrogressive and it needed to be revised upwards. As I've not yet confirmed whether that has been reversed, but I think not yet, because if it is to be reversed, then that is something that can be seen. So we need to look at this critically. It's a very interesting talk that we can have. I don't know kama bado uko na hiyo noti ya zamani and you can be given a window to return it. How much can we bring back in the economy? But if we have some illicit, if you have people that have money and they cannot use it because it could not be changed, and so if it is changed, it's going to return back into money, it's a bit of a challenge. But because of the moneyonomics, this will need a very key economists to divide on the effect of that in our economy. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of my analysis.